Everyone who's watching this video, hello, how you doing? Hope you enjoyed the final. Hey, it's over. Cup has been given to the Florida Panthers. Am I surprised? Well, before the series, I was kind of expecting that. Yeah, I don't think McDavid's gonna lose the cup 2 years in a row. So I'm kind of disappointed because the first two games, it was like, okay, it's gonna be a fantastic series. It's gonna be incredible. And then 3 games out of 4 were totally dominated by the Panthers. Even the other game, at the start of it, it was 3-0 for them. Then Edmonton was able to come back for the 3. Then Florida equalized at the end of the period, the third period, and then overtime Edmonton wins. So it didn't feel like Edmonton deserved that win much, but they were able to do it, you know. How do I feel about this? I'm disappointed. I was expecting more from the Oilers. I was hoping for the Oilers to win. So yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, the worst final was Carey Montreal against Tampa Bay. It was terrible, and I was sad at the end of it. Didn't enjoy seeing Boston win in 2011. No, did not. No. Especially the way that the series between Montreal and Boston ended that year with a 7-game overtime. Yeah, it was awful. What a bad feeling. And I was still young, so yeah, it hurt my feelings a lot. So yeah, that's the third worst final that I've seen. Last year, it was a good series. It was fantastic. It was weird. I enjoy it, even though I really wanted to see Edmonton wins even last year. I was happy for Florida. It was their first Stanley Cup. Luongo. Maybe he was not playing, but that man deserved a cup. And now he has 2. But 1 was enough for now. I really feel bad for McDavid and Draisaitl. I really feel bad for them. Last game was awful after the first goal because, you know, Edmonton, they were like 5-0. There was a shot. And then Ekblom and Bouchard did a bad defensive play. Then Reinhardt, Reinhardt? Was it Reinhardt? Yeah, it's Reinhardt who took the puck. And then, yeah, just it looked bad. Ekblom. And then the puck did a weird curve. I think it touched the stick of, I think it was Ekblom. Anyway. And yeah, it like did a weird curve that was really hard for Skinner to stop. So I can understand this one entered the net. And after that, I look at my dad and I told him, yeah, it's over. It's over. It's done. And I was right. And what I said at the start and the other video for the final is game 2 and game 3 are going to be so important. Who's going to win game 2? I think we'll win game 3 and it's going to be done. So it's pretty much what I said. Maybe it's, yeah. But anyway, it's exactly what happened. Game 2, if Edmonton is able to win this one, I think they're the one who take advantage in the Stanley Cup final. But because Florida was able to get that win, and then after that, get a big... They destroyed Edmonton in game 3. They destroyed them. They looked like it was a junior club who was playing against the Stanley Cup champions, you know? Defending Stanley Cup champions. What a series for Marchand and Bennett. Probably the 2 players I would say as players. I don't know them personally, of course. But as players, they're the one that I hate the most, man. So seeing them win the Stanley Cup together, I was kind of sad. And seeing how important they were, like Bennett did win the Conn Smythe, but in second place, of course it was gonna be Brad Marchand. Of course it was gonna be him. Yeah, no, I'm not happy with the result, but that's the result, and it was deserved. So, what are you gonna say, right? I think Florida just did a better job in every way. They deserved it, and goaltenders couldn't stop a puck. I will defend Skinner on some goals because I think defensively, Edmonton, it was their worst series in 2 years. The worst. They were awful defensively. At the same time, Florida played such a great. They had such a great structure, and I think that's what's missing. There's some elements in Edmonton that are just not working. Goaltenders, yeah, I'm gonna defend Skinner, but to which extent, you know? He still had like an awful final. Couldn't make the stop that he's not supposed to do. Know what I mean? When Vasilevsky with Tampa Bay win Stanley Cups, it's because he was so good when it was the time. Always ready, and I would say the same thing for Bobrovsky. He did exactly that. That was the issue with Luongo at the time. In the 2011 Stanley Cup final, he couldn't make the save you needed him to do. So at the end of the day, you're looking at him and he's like, what have you done? You know? And sometimes Fleury could do the same thing. I like to compare Skinner to Fleury because I'm gonna say why. Don't panic. I'm gonna tell you. Skinner sometimes is one of the greatest goaltender ever. I'm not joking. He's fantastic. Sometimes he's gonna steal games. Fantastic. But sometimes he's the worst goaltender ever. Couldn't stop a puck in a pee-wee game. And you could say the same for Fleury. You could say the same. Sometimes Fleury looks like he never ever played the goaltender position because of the way he plays, you know? Probably you have a top 10 worst goals allowed by a goaltender. You have Skinner 3 times and you have Fleury 3 times. But the difference is between those two, their worst moment and their best moment, you can just inverse them. So Fleury had so many great moments as a goaltender, but the few he had the few bad moments he had were really impressive. But it's the opposite for Skinner. Skinner has some good moments, but he has so many bad ones. It's impressive. So yeah, you can't win with a goaltender like that. Last year, I was impressed by him, honestly. Even in Game 7, I think he did an amazing job. He was probably even their best player. But this year, he was the main reason why they couldn't win. And yeah, injuries. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was playing with a broken hand, and you didn't have Hyman. You could tell Hyman was not there. He's so important to this team. It's like you took Bennett and you take him out of the lineup of Florida for me. Like you have your Barkov and Tkachuk. Tkachuk was injured. You could tell, but he was still able to play like Tkachuk, you know. But Hyman was too injured. What are you going to say? And some players are able to play with some type of injuries. Others can't. And Hyman, I don't remember if they say what it was, but he couldn't play. And it was awful. If he was there, I think there would have been a difference. Because when you take out one good players from Edmonton, you can tell, oh, yeah, they're missing some players. You can tell all right at the start, oh, they're missing a guy in the top 6 because this guy is clearly not one. And this guy that entered the lineup is not able to do the job. So they're missing some. They're not deep enough, you know. I would say that Florida, you would have taken out Bennett, and even if Bennett did win the Conn Smythe, you could have given the Conn Smythe to like 3 or 4 other players, and probably they would have won anyway. The difference was too big between those two teams, you know. I do think that you put anybody else from the Eastern Conference in the final and the result is different. You do the same exercise with the Western Conference and the result would have been even more impressive for Florida. I think there's like 3 different. It's weird to say, but I think Florida is alone on the top. There's a big hole, and then you have Edmonton, and then there's another big hole, and you have the other teams, the top of the other teams. There's a really, it's the first time that I see this big of a difference between some very specific teams. And if Edmonton is able to get some players and not sign, let's say, Trent Frederick for 8 years and 3.5 or 4 million per year, this would be like a bad move, even though I don't hate Trent Frederick. I think he would be a good player to sign for maybe 2 or 3 years at a $2.5 million deal. But imagine if you were dumb enough to do that as a GM. It would be crazy, right? So, yeah, depending on what you do, if you're the GM of Edmonton, I'm not going to say his name because they don't have a real GM. So, I can't believe it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna get out of this hole. I think if I'm Connor McDavid, I'm just taking my time before signing, because if I see that Stan Bowman is doing like a lot of bad moves, like he's gonna do, like he's already doing, like he's already made last summer, I might first go see the president or the owner or whatever and tell them like I'm quitting if it's still him the GM, or you just quit. Why not? And anyway, Bowman won't be able to make a good trade, or he's just not gonna make a trade because he's gonna say, okay, we still have 1 year of McDavid, so we're gonna try to go for it, you know, by adding some more useless player and keeping like Skinner and Pickard, you know. Oh boy, that's gonna be a long summer for Edmonton, and for Florida, it's gonna be a great one. Gonna be a fantastic summer. Already great being in Florida, but hey, I guess they're gonna sign Bennett. I think Martian's gonna go out. I would say like 8 million would be the amount of money per year he's gonna make with Florida. If he goes out, it's gonna be between 9 and 10. I think he would be able, he would be fine to take like about 1 to 2 million less per year to stay in Florida. I would do that if I was him. I think it's a much better deal this way. If I was in Mountain, I would go out and try to get or Merchant or Bennett, depending who's available, because I think that's the type of player they need. I would let I don't know if Evander Kane still has like years of contract, but I would let him go if that's the case. It would let a couple of millions more available. I would keep Perry. I would let go. I would try to get some players that are really gonna help me, but there's not much money, and Bouchard is not signed. I'm thinking about, do you trade Bouchard? I think you have to think about it. There's probably another team that would take him, that could give you somebody who is more like a complete package. Bouchard is, last year I thought he was better defensively. This year he was atrocious. So especially in the last game, the worst moment possible. You could say the same thing for Weber. Last game he played with the Panthers was probably the Predators. Sorry, was probably his worst game defensively in his whole career. So yeah, you could say that it's one game, but Bouchard, it's not the first time. And yeah, I don't feel like he is the number one defenseman because of that. He makes me think of Erik Karlsson, but when Erik Karlsson is at his worst sometimes. So that's pretty tough. So yeah, I would try to get somebody else. Or if you keep him, you can keep him at this much money. He's going to take like around 10 millions. You can't do that. If you do, you're going to be like the Maple Leafs, probably, and you don't know where to go after that. You're going to take like players around your best players that can do much, especially if you sign bad contracts, and I think that would be one. There's already Darnell Nurse, so the defensive would be like filled with players that are they're not bad if they're in the right position. Like, you want him for 2 minutes on the ice for the power play, Evan Bouchard, but you don't want him too much on the ice at 5-on-5. So you want to balance his game this way. I think Nurse is good, but as a third one. Anyway, those words are too close. And Ekholm is a really good defenseman. I have no issue with him, but you need a real first one, and I think Bouchard is the illusion that you have a first one, not a real first one. I look at a guy like Lane Hudson, who's already much better defensively than Evan Bouchard will probably ever be. And that's crazy to me, because I think Bouchard has so many tools in his game that could result as a great defenseman, a great overall defenseman. He needs to take a shot offensively, maybe a little bit less points, to be a better or more complete player. If he can't understand that, why would you pay him 10 millions per year? Yeah. And you look at Florida. They took Seth Jones. Seth Jones was going nowhere with the Blackhawks, and now he was their best defenseman in front of Forsling, who was, I think, better this year than last year. What a team. And you don't talk about Ekblad. He was on the second pair, and he was fitting there. He's gonna go to the free agents, and you don't feel like they're gonna take a shot. It's Aaron Ekblad. He's pretty good. Not perfect, but he's pretty good. But I don't feel like it's gonna be a big problem, because it's not the first time they lose a couple of defensemen that are pretty good, like Montour. Didn't look like Montour was not there, They're crazy good. They're gonna win probably next year too. That's my early predictions, and that's my prediction for the start of the season and when the playoffs are gonna start. Until they prove me wrong, I'm gonna say Florida. From now on, I'm gonna stay safe. Stay safe. Oh no! Don't underestimate them like we did this year. Oh boy, no. Okay, congratulations, Florida. And just the state of Florida, 4 of 6 years. Well, pretty good. And 6 times in a row with a team in the final. That's not bad. Hey, if it was New York, you could say, they're like 3 to 5, 4 teams, I think, because Buffalo is technically in New York, if I'm correct, in the state of New York. So you have 4 teams, 6 years, it's possible, but 2 teams, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna see you on the next one. Have a good summer. I don't know if I'm gonna make other videos in the next couple of weeks. I'm not gonna really talk about the draft because that's not something that I'm looking at a lot of videos about it, but I don't feel like confident enough to say, oh yeah, this guy is gonna be great. I saw one game of Sheffer and he was so good and he got hurt. So yeah, it was on the junior the junior how do you world I don't know, I don't remember. Word of, or what is it? International World Hockey. Why is it? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know why. World Junior. I mean, that's crazy. Normally I know that, but it's just not coming to me. Anyway, this tournament. Is it like International Hockey World Championship? Junior, International Hockey Junior World Championship. Isn't that? I'm not sure. Okay. You see, I'm not good with junior. I'm not good with that. I don't know. Normally I watch it in French, so yeah, Championnat du Monde Hockey Junior. You see, no. Man. Maybe I'll do a video for the signings in summer and see. You know what? That's the thing. I'm gonna just say it quickly just before I stop the video. The signings, we saw it last year and say, oh, Nashville did the best move this summer. They didn't make the playoffs. They finished like in the bottom 5 of the league. Even though they took Stamkos, Marchessault, and Shea. So yeah, no, I might just do like a little video to say, okay, this team, this one guy. Anyway, so maybe I might do a overall what happened. I don't know. I'll see if I'm inspired to do it. If not, I see you next year with my predictions for next season. Maybe I'll do a video to see this year what was my prediction at the start of the year and see how wrong I was like I did last year. That might be a possibility. We'll see. Okay, thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye. Might even be something outside of hockey. We'll see.